Back here live.
We're back live at the Northwest Pet Expo with my friend, the zombie Gwyn. You're looking good, Gwyn. Gwyn just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like tortoises.
All right, you're a great zombie. Good times here at Gwyntomology.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gwyntomology. I'm Gwen and it's my dad Matt.
Hi.
And we have some super exciting news about a new animal.
We have snakes, we have lizards, we have tarantulas, we have other spiders, we have praying mantises. The list goes on and on and on and on. With a lot of our animals, lifespan isn't really a concern. For most of the true spiders, you're looking at 1 to 2 years.
And for the praying mantises, it's in between 1 and 2 years.
Some people might look at that as a negative, but in some ways it's kind of a positive. One of the reasons these pets are great for families with kids is because you don't know how long they're going to be interested in them. And so when the investment of your time is only a year or at the most 2 years, it makes it really easy to decide on getting one of these animals as a pet. For tarantulas, it's a little bit longer. If it's a male, it's 5 to 10 years. If it's a female, it could be 20 years. For our bearded dragon, it's a dozen years. So with this new animal, this is something that we need to think about. Gwen, do you want to tell the audience out there what animal we're planning on getting?
Well, they saw the intro, right?
I like tortoises. We like tortoises. So yes, a tortoise is our next pet. So we're gonna walk you through the steps of deciding what kind of tortoise we're going to get. We have 5 attributes we're going to look at from these tortoises to help us decide which one we're going to get. First is size. Tortoises can get this big as an adult, or that's about right. They can get big.
The next one is husbandry and care. The care for tortoises vary greatly depending on the species of tortoise.
Next is availability. Some tortoises are really hard to get. Some just aren't as available as you'd like them to be, and some tortoises are really easy to get. So that's another thing that we need to think about.
The fourth thing is their personality, because some tortoises are more likely to be shy and some of them are more likely to be outgoing.
The last attribute, 5th one, is price. Some are just out of our budget. Till we get 10 million subscribers, come on, help us out, YouTube. We just have some of those that aren't on the list. So, let's go through the list. Gwen, you want to get the list?
So this is our list for the potential tortoises that we are going to get.
This list is tortoises that are somewhat available in the pet trade.
For example, the speckled padloper didn't make the cut.
What's special about the speckled padloper?
They're the smallest tortoise and they only get 2 inches, so they only lay 1 egg at a time, which makes it pretty hard to get.
Here's our list. We're gonna cross off a couple of these ones first. Probably the saddest one to cross off is the one Gwen wanted the most, and that would be Galapagos. Why, Gwen?
Because it's big.
It's huge. It's the biggest tortoise in the world, and probably just doesn't fit. Next one to cross off?
The gopher tortoise we're probably not going to get because they're protected.
You have to have a special permit to be able to have the gopher or desert tortoise. I'm going to now cross off 2 because they're very similar. I will cross off the Indian star tortoise, and I will cross off the radiated tortoise. Beautiful tortoises, absolutely gorgeous. You trying to steal my eraser? Very pretty, but they're a little out of our price range. So on to the next one.
So even though I really want this, the Aldabra tortoise gets big. And they're super expensive.
It's the second biggest tortoise in the world. They are amazing to look at. I want to go visit one in a zoo and ride on it. On to the next one. Now, this one is really common, actually. This one is the Russian tortoise. We got to cross it off. And it's kind of an interesting story with the Russian tortoises. Russian tortoises are one of the tortoises you'll find at most pet stores. But the issue with those is they're usually caught out in the wild and they're brought as adults, shipped over and sold in pet stores. And it's not something that I really want to support. And so we crossed it off. Now, there are captive bred baby Russian tortoises. There are some breeding programs and some stores that offer captive bred Russian tortoises. The downside to having to cross that off is they seem to be incredibly personable. Every time we've interacted with one, it's been fantastic.
So the next one that I'm going to cross off is the pancake. Because they don't get very big. They stay small. And I want one a little bigger.
So along the lines of that is the Hermans. Similar to the pancake, they tend to have a great personality, but they just stay really small, and we want one that's going to get a little bit of size on it.
The next one is the yellow-footed tortoise, because their care is really specific and they need really high humidity.
So next one to cross off is the Greek tortoise. Again, a little bit like the Russian and pancake tortoise, they tend to stay kind of small.
So next one is the hingeback, because like the Russians, they're really hard to find captive bred. I'm
going to cross off the beautiful leopard tortoise. They have a lot of needs and requirements. And there's a cousin of the leopard tortoise, also called a leopard tortoise, and it's the fourth largest tortoise. They get huge, really cool, but basically impossible to find as a pet.
I'm going to erase the elongated tortoise because they're pretty hard to find.
All right, this one is going to make Gwyn cry. Do you know which one? Yeah, it's the sulcata. Sulcatas are amazing. They're the most personable, probably, of all the tortoises. If you've ever interacted with a big tortoise at a pet store that just kind of walks around on its own, probably a sulcata. The issue is they get big. Possibly the fourth or fifth largest tortoise. Not uncommon to see one that's over 2 feet long. Unfortunately, we just don't have room for it to be inside during the winter. So sadly enough, the sulcata doesn't make the cut. Someday, a sulcata will make the cut. Are you going to get me back? Is that what this is? Is this revenge, Gwyn?
So,
just do it.
Burmese, they have really specific care.
And they get really big. It's probably my favorite on the whole list was the Burmese mountain tortoise. So we've narrowed it down to two. The two finalists. One of these is the one we're going to get. Are you ready to find out which one it is? I know. She doesn't know.
Just erase one already.
Not yet. So,
What?
these two are our finalists. The red-footed tortoise and the marginated tortoise. Gwyn, why don't you tell us about the red-footed tortoise?
So the redfoot tortoise, they get like 10 to 14 inches, so not super big. Their care is pretty simple. When they're young, they need humidity.
Their personalities are fantastic. People call them the clowns of the tortoise world. We're pretty familiar already with our bearded dragon being not so bright, but having a lot of personality. So that's a pretty good draw for us. We've also interacted with them. Gwyn has fed redfoot tortoises before at Holly's Plug or our favorite pet store. And then we have the marginated, which basically look like miniature sulcatas. They get pretty big. They're pretty neat in that they come from the grasslands, and so they have the swoop on the back of their shell. Two very different tortoises, but both that we'd be really happy with. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yes.
Okay, it's not yet. First thing we need to do is we need to figure out a name, right? All right, so we're going to switch this one out and move on to the next one. Okay, so now we have the ever important, in this house, list of names for our new tortoise.
So the potential names that we chose for a tortoise are Jeff,
Bowser,
Pedro,
in honor of our friend Peter that runs bugs in cyberspace. Scooter,
Patches,
Squeaks,
Noodle,
T-Bone. I think that was probably even my idea. I don't know about that one.
Shamrock,
And Buckets. Buckets would have to be the marginated tortoise because of the scoops, makes it look like a bucket hat. All right, so let's cross some of these off. Drum roll.
Scooter is the name of our tortoise.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now that we have it narrowed down to the 2 finalists for a new pet tortoise,
A redfoot or a marginated?
in this process, there's somebody in our family that has wanted a tortoise for a very long time, and she is a little bit excited for the new tortoise to come. I'm going to turn this chair over to Kelsey for the unboxing so Gwyn and her can unbox it together. Let me introduce you to my middle daughter, Kelsey.
Yay!
I don't want to do that.
What was the tortoise doing on the highway?
What?
About 100 millimeters per hour.
What did the snail say on the tortoise's back?
What?
Whee!
What do you get when you cross a tortoise and a porcupine?
I don't know. What?
A slowpoke.
Turtle Day!
Hello?
I know, I heard that.
It's here. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh! It's the perfect size. It's perfect size.
Back. It's a redfoot.
No, it's head.
Oh my gosh! Oh
It's
my
so cute.
It's trying to walk. Wait. Okay. Ew. Oh, it's so cute. No, it's so cute.
Gwen, how you feeling about our little red-footed tortoise?
Good, are so cute.
He's a little shy right now after the long trip all the way from Florida.
He's so cute.
Yep. We made the right choice? We made the right choice. Before we go, we are going to answer the question of the day. And the question of the day comes from subscriber
Squishy Lucy. The question is, how old is your oldest Mulgy pet? And Maya.
Maya. Is pretty easy. Her birthday is in 2 days. She will be 13 years old. Older than Gwyn.
So, the other one is Birdie Boy. We've had him about 7 years. So, we got him when he was a baby, so he's probably about 7 years right now.
We have one animal that might outdo both of them. I'm going to throw a little curveball here and say that Bert is not our oldest, even though he's the one we've had the longest. That distinction goes to our Faunapelma calcotes, our Arizona blonde tarantula. We don't know exactly how old she is because she came to us as an adult. But one thing we do know is that it takes about 8 years for them to mature. We know she's mature, so we know that she's at least 8 years old, which makes her older than this guy right here. So she could be 20 years old. Thank you so much for that question. We appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing.
We need your questions.
Think of your questions. We'll get them answered. Leave them down in the comments, please. And we'll try to do our best to cover those in future episodes.
Now while you're down there in the comments, you can subscribe to our channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell.
Until next time, don't be afraid.
Be educated.
See you next time. Here. So now.